the south, out of Roanoke. Caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toke. But he's a-heading west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. And I've gotta get a move on before the sun. I hear my baby calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free.
Welcome to Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. Now, you may have heard of the Cumberland Gap, which is actually like a historic, natural historic site. But this is the actual town called Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. They've mentioned the Cumberland Gap in many songs. The Wagon Wheel song by the Old Crow Medicine Show, and later remade by Darius Rucker. They mention going from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. So you may have heard it there. There's other songs that it's been in. So it's kind of a famous area. But this is the actual town. You may not have known there was an actual small town of about 300 people. So let's explore around the town, and I think there'll be some other things in the area that'll be interesting to learn about as well. Cumberland Gap, Tennessee is in Claiborne County in the northeastern part of the state, bordering Kentucky and Virginia to the north. The town is located below the Cumberland Gap, the historic mountain pass for which is the town's namesake, and inside the boundaries of the Cumberland Gap National Historic Park. The Cherokee and Shawnee Native American tribes traveled through the Cumberland Gap. The tribes often fought each other, and white settlers called the trail the Warrior's Path. The area that came to be known as the Cumberland Gap was a gateway on the trail through the mountains. Although many settlers had traveled through the pass and their reports had traveled back east, Thomas Walker is credited as a settler who discovered the pass. Walker was hired by the Loyal Land Company to search for a suitable site for a settlement on the western side of the mountains, and it gained a post office here in 1803. The town changed hands 4 times during the Civil War, but no battles actually took place here. In 1888, a work camp was established at Cumberland Gap by entrepreneur Alexander Arthur to house workers to build a tunnel for the Knoxville, Cumberland Gap, and Louisville Railroad. Arthur was attempting to establish a large-scale iron production operation in the Cumberland Gap region. The town was officially incorporated as a city in 1907, about 100 years after it got a post office. In 1996, the completion of the Cumberland Gap Tunnel, which we'll see at the end of the video, rerouted US 25E, bypassing the town's central business district here. The bypassing of the town caused the local economy to decline as annual payrolls for Cumberland Gap dropped 40% in a 10-year span from 1994 to 2004. Although the reduction in traffic did help to protect the historic downtown area here, the majority of this downtown that we're walking through is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places as the Cumberland Gap Historic District. As we start looking at the population figures, it's kind of interesting. It's been in the 300 to 400 range there in the first half of the 1900s, then dropped down below 300 from 1960 all the way to the year 2000, and then went up quite a bit and then went back down again. Not quite sure why the population went up and down so much, but the official population now is 313. go take a little walk. Newly iron furnace. Cave up there. I think that's the path. That's the long way around. As a great wave of settlers moved west in the late 1700s, early 1800s, most people took this wilderness road in the winter so that they could be ready to plant their crops on the new frontier in the spring. Well, we made it up here to the Cumberland Gap from the town of Cumberland Gap. So the town, first of all, was pretty interesting. I didn't know there was actually a town until I started, driving through this area and looked it up. And so very cool, historic town, a couple places to stay, some businesses there. So I really am glad I visited the town. And obviously there's so many historic places here. I'm sitting on the little landmark here that talks about Daniel Boone came through here, 1769. Then you have a little sign about the Cumberland Gap and all the historic things that happened here, people that went through this area on the Wilderness Trail. So very cool place to stop and explore. And if I was in a little better shape, I would have explored more trails. You can go a little farther, I think another half mile to a mile, and you get to the Tri-State Point, and they have some cool signs there. So yeah, a lot of things to do here, even though there's only a town of 300, lots of things to do in this part of the country.
or maybe in one of the numerous songs that, they've talked about the Cumberland